Welcome to Bears Royal Guys. Please support me by subscribing and getting me to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. An internal NFC North scouting leak just exposed something rival offensive coordinators were desperate to keep hidden. Stolen practice footage proves Chicago's Austin Booker is carbon copying Maxx Crosby's most lethal pass rush mechanics frame by frame. While draft analysts dismissed him as a late-round flyer, secret tape analysis reveals his flex bend, relentless motor, and long arm extension are already creating unblockable one-on-one nightmares opposite Montez Sweat. Defensive line coaches are actively molding Booker's entire rush plan directly off Crosby's film, leaving 31 opposing franchises scrambling to rewrite their protection schemes before it's too late. The numbers prove this isn't just late season hype, it's a tactical takeover happening right under the league's nose. So before we break down the forbidden film, ask yourself, is Austin Booker primed to become Chicago's unquestioned primary edge rusher by mid-season? It started as an whisper echoing through the back corridors of the NFC North, a frantic series of late-night phone calls between advanced scouts that rapidly spiraled into full-blown panic. The rumors surfaced right around the midpoint of the preparation calendar, suggesting that scouts from rival division foes had somehow gotten their hands on unauthorized raw practice footage and high-angle end-zone tape from Hallas Hall. What they expected to find was standard rookie developmental clutter, a fifth-round draft pick struggling to adjust to modern offensive tackle sets, laboring under technical inconsistencies, and taking raw developmental reps. What they actually witnessed on that stolen video file sent immediate shockwaves through three division front offices. The footage showed young edge rusher Austin Booker executing pass rush reps with a terrifyingly familiar kinetic pattern, operating with a calculated, violent instinct that mirrored the league's most destructive defensive force. The panic wasn't over Booker's raw athletic metrics or his pedigree as a day-third selection out of Kansas. It was over the precise, eerie, mechanical resemblance to all-pro edge defender Maxx Crosby. As opposing scouts scrubbed through the unreleased tape frame by frame, the side-by-side overlays were undeniable. Booker wasn't just taking reps, he was displaying the exact same violent swipe and rip progression, the signature torque at the top of the rush arc, and the unhinged, continuous motor that has made Crosby an offensive line coordinator's worst nightmare for years. Every time Booker dipped his inside shoulder to corner the edge, his body angles matched Crosby's blueprint with uncanny precision. When he hit the apex of his rush, his lateral weight transfer and ankle flex looked less like a second-year player finding his footing and more like a top-tier superstar operating on muscle memory. Word of the secret breakdown quickly leaked beyond scout meeting rooms into the broader league ecosystem, causing defensive staff members across the division to demand every scrap of unofficial preseason and scrimmage tape available. They realized very quickly that the Chicago Bears hadn't just drafted a raw rotational defensive end to pad their depth chart. They had stumbled upon a physical and mechanical clone of a generational pass rusher. The draft media had completely missed the signal in the noise, focusing on Booker's limited collegiate starts while overlooking the undeniable underlying traits that make edge rushers elite. Now, with the secret completely out of the bag and rival teams frantically auditing their film libraries to understand how this developmental miracle occurred, the rest of the league is left staring at a terrifying reality. Chicago's front office didn't just retool their defensive front. They quietly harbored a pass rush anomaly whose taped ascension is about to rewrite the competitive balance of the entire NFC North. To understand how an unheralded fifth-round pick is suddenly striking fear into the hearts of NFC North blocking schemes, you have to dissect the tape frame by frame. when you isolate the mechanical DNA of Maxx Crosby, the premier game disruptor of the modern era, you see a rare combination of physical geometry, functional length, and violent kinetic transitions. For years, draft analysts assumed Crosby's style was an unreplicable outlier, a hyper-aggressive anomaly born out of sheer willpower and unique anatomical flex. Yet, when film junkies slowed down Austin Booker's preseason snaps, the structural parallels are nothing short of astonishing. Booker isn't just imitating the aesthetic, his physical build and biomechanical movement patterns allow him to leverage the exact same technical principles that make Crosby unblockable against elite tackle sets. The primary weapon in Booker's arsenal and the anchor of his blueprint is his uncanny flex bend around the edge. Standing 6'4" with a massive 81.5 wingspan and nearly 34-inch arms, Booker possesses the exact lean, elongated frame that scouts historically under-evaluate because of raw body weight. But that leaner frame translates directly to an extreme center of gravity advantage when dipping around the corner. On tape, as Booker reaches the high side apex of his pass rush against offensive tackles, his ankle flex allows him to lower his inside shoulder to a near 45-degree angle without losing momentum or balance. This ankle and hip mobility lets him shave the corner tighter than bulky power rushers ever could. It is the exact maneuver Crosby uses to convert speed into leverage, slipping beneath the strike zone of setting tackles and flattening his path straight toward the pocket's apex. Compounding that corner carving bend is Booker's relentless use of the long arm extension combined with a lightning-fast counter progression. Because of his immense reach, Booker routinely strikes the chest plate of opposing linemen before their hands can establish a firm grip. On film, the moment a tackle oversets to stop his outside speed, Booker converts that long arm stab into a violent club swim or a sudden, devastating spin move. What makes his spin move so lethal, much like Crosby's, is the speed of his hips. Booker doesn't just spin, he snaps his weight across the blocker's body in a flash, instantly clearing the hands and bursting into the quarterback's vision before the guard can slide to assist. It's a multi-tiered rush plan executed with zero hesitation. Yet, mechanics alone mean nothing without the engine that drives them, and this is where the anatomic clone narrative becomes absolute reality. The single most terrifying trait Crosby possesses is his continuous, unyielding motor. He never turns off a pass rush, converting secondary and tertiary effort into game-changing sacks. Booker operates on that exact same hyperactive frequency. On tape, even when an offensive line successfully stalls his primary move, Booker doesn't stall. He immediately transitions into a secondary bull rush or a second effort bull swipe. His leg drive never ceases, forcing tackles to block him for a full 4 to 6 seconds on every single snap. This motor, paired with his rare length to flex ratio, transforms him from a developmental draft pick into a rare physical duplicate. The tape doesn't lie. Chicago didn't just draft depth, they unlocked the blueprint to a superstar clone. A masterclass in edge rushing development isn't built in a vacuum, and no matter how gifted a young rusher may be, the path from raw prospect to elite game wrecker requires an ecosystem of veteran dominance and deliberate high-level coaching. For Austin Booker, that accelerator arrived in the physical presence of veteran anchor Montez Sweat. Since his arrival in Chicago, Sweat has demanded non-stop slide protection and extra tight end chips from opposing offensive coordinators, holding down the fort as the focal point of the Bears' front seven. Publicly, Sweat hasn't held back his praise for the young pass rusher, routinely highlighting Booker's terrifyingly fast learning curve and unteachable raw instincts. But behind the scenes, that partnership creates a lethal tactical dynamic that changes every single math problem for opposing passing games. Because Sweat demands so much attention on the strong side, Booker operates in an environment rich with unchipped, pure one-on-one pass rush opportunities. When offensive lines slide their center guard protection towards Sweat, the weak side offensive tackle is left completely isolated on an island against Booker. In the NFL, an unchipped edge rusher with elite bend and length is a ticking time bomb for a quarterback's blind side. Booker doesn't have to navigate chip blocks from running backs or delayed hits from tight ends on every play. He gets clean launch pads to attack isolated tackles in space. Sweat's veteran presence acts as a massive shield, sucking the defensive gravity toward his side of the field and allowing Booker to unleash his aggressive Crosby-style rush plan without facing heavy secondary help. Beyond the structural advantages on the field, the transformation taking place inside Halas Hall is fueled by an intentional, surgical coaching mandate. Defensive line coaches aren't just letting Booker improvise out there. They have actively restructured his daily training around film study of Maxx Crosby's time in Oakland and Las Vegas. During week-to-week installation meetings, coaches pull up side-by-side tape comparing Crosby's footwork on identical offensive line sets to Booker's practice reps. They drill his get-off cadence, refine his wrist fight techniques, and teach him how to use his length to disengage from power punches, direct extractions from Crosby's tape library. Rather than forcing Booker into a standard, generic defensive end mold, Chicago's staff recognized his unique physical DNA and gave him a tailor-made blueprint. This mentorship and targeted coaching pipeline have turned Booker from an intriguing developmental gamble into a primed breakout weapon. Sweat provides the protection warping gravity and real-time veteran guidance on the field, while the coaching staff sharpens the mechanical edge in the classroom. Every rep Booker takes is calculated, designed to exploit the single coverage created by Sweat's presence. The mentorship factor isn't just a feel-good narrative. It is a calculated incubative strategy that has accelerated Booker's timetable by years, building a terrifying tandem that is officially ready to shatter NFC North passing attacks. The existence of the leaked film hasn't just disrupted practice schedules, it has thrown opposing coaching staffs across the NFL into an absolute panic. In boardrooms and dark film analysis caves throughout the league, defensive scouts and offensive play callers are realizing that their established protection rules against Chicago are completely obsolete. When preparing for a young edge rusher, offensive coordinators usually apply simple, single block mechanics, trusting an athletic tackle to handle a late-round player on an island without giving away additional protection assets. But Booker's sudden evolution into a mechanical mirror image of Maxx Crosby has forced a massive tactical overhaul across 31 front offices. You can see the fear on tape. Offensive line coaches are now forced to reallocate extra blocking assets away from the interior rush just to keep Booker's explosive, flexible rush angles from constantly blowing up the pocket. This realization creates an agonizing tactical nightmare for play callers facing the Bears. If an offensive coordinator decides to keep an additional tight end or running back on Booker's side to chip him at the snap, they instantly rob their quarterback of a crucial pass-catching outlet, reducing a five-man route concept down to 4 or 3 receivers. That extra millisecond spent chipping Booker gives Chicago's defensive secondary an enormous advantage in coverage, leaving quarterbacks with nowhere to throw. Conversely, if an offensive line slides its primary, double team, and center protection outward to neutralize Booker's dangerous long arm and bend combination, they leave the interior gap wide open for Chicago's linebackers and interior linemen to shoot through untamed. Booker's emergence strips opponents of their structural flexibility, turning standard protection adjustments into a zero-sum trap. The panic has gotten so severe that rival analytics and pro personnel departments are reportedly scrambling to trace every second of Booker's tape back to his initial developmental shifts, trying to locate any hidden tell or biomechanical flaw before facing him. Film room leaks suggest that advanced scouts are furiously dissecting his pre-snap stance variations, tracking his weight distribution, foot alignment, and glove placement to find any subtle indicator that signals whether he is executing a speed bend, an inside spin, or a long arm stab. Opposing defensive line coaches want to know if he has a physical weakness when forced to set an edge against heavy power running concepts, hoping to find a way to wear him down physically and slow down his pass rush cadence. Yet, despite their best efforts to dissect his technique, rival teams are finding out that true game-disrupting talent combined with Crosby's motor cannot be neutralized purely on a whiteboard. Every time an opponent thinks they've found a flaw or built a scheme to limit his initial move, Booker's continuous effort and elite physical recovery allow him to overcome initial blocks and still create chaos in the backfield. Teams aren't just adjusting their game plans to block a second-year defender. They are rewriting their entire offensive philosophy out of pure self-preservation. Austin Booker is no longer a developmental secret taking background reps. He has become a verified tactical nightmare, actively altering how every future opponent schemes against Chicago. The trajectory of Austin Booker's trajectory is no longer grounded in hypothetical projection. It is backed by cold, hard statistical evidence on the field. Following his mid-season return to action late in 2025, Booker surged through the back half of the schedule, racking up 4.5 regular season sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and a high-impact strip sack across just 9 starts, before adding another crucial sack in Chicago's playoff win over Green Bay. Analytics tracking revealed that over his final 6 games, his pass rush win rate on true pass sets ranked alongside established top-tier edge defenders. Extrapolating those late 2025 efficiency numbers across a full 17-game slate, combined with the full off-season of dedicated biomechanical refinement, makes a double-digit sack campaign, 50-plus quarterback pressures, and multiple forced fumbles the expected baseline for his upcoming campaign. This rapid statistical ascent makes one reality abundantly clear. The transition of power along Chicago's defensive line is happening much faster than anyone anticipated. While Montez Sweat remains the vocal leader and established anchor of the front seven, Booker's hyper-efficient conversion of speed to power and relentless Crosby-esque motor are quickly turning him into the unit's primary pass rush converter. When a second-year rusher consistently commands single coverage on the weak side and wins at an elite rate, coaches have no choice but to adjust their late-game, high-leverage calls to funnels directly through that player's hands. Booker is no longer just capitalizing on the gravity created by others. He is actively creating his own gravitational pull, forcing opposing offenses to treat him as the central threat on the field. The league is officially on notice, and the forbidden film room study is about to become a weekly nightmare for every offensive coordinator on Chicago's upcoming schedule. The secret is completely out. Draft pedigree means nothing once the ball is snapped, and physical traits paired with surgical, technical refinement will break even the best protection schemes. Austin Booker has evolved from an intriguing fifth-round flyer into a fully realized game disruptor, capturing the exact violent essence that makes Maxx Crosby a generational force. As the new season kicks off, the rest of the NFC North isn't just watching film, they're bracing for impact against Chicago's newest edge terror. Which brings us back to the ultimate question that every Bears fan and division scout is asking right now. With his mechanical clone transformation complete and his late-season momentum exploding, is Austin Booker guaranteed to become Chicago's primary undisputed pass rusher by mid-season? Drop your thoughts, hot takes, and film breakdowns in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dive NFL tape breakdowns.